Welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. Today's message is, you must forgive your parents. You must forgive your parents. Before we get started, I want to say welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to all of the new viewers, all of the new subscribers, and welcome to you who have been with me from the beginning. I really appreciate you. Now, those of you who are new to the channel, I will answer your relationship questions. So at the end of the video, I'll show you a link where you can send in your questions, and I will either answer them privately through the email, or I will share them online with the collective, and it can be your decision. Now, those of you who are interested in these caps, they are available in my online store, and you'll find a link in the description. Now it's time for our daily affirmation, and we do these affirmations to help with our spiritual growth. And here it is. I show up to all my situations with love. I show up to all my situations with love. People, let this sink in. I show up to all my situations with love. It doesn't matter what the situation is, whether it's a challenge or something wonderful. Show up with love, people. Let this affirmation sink in deep. I show up to all my situations with love. Let this affirmation be a blessing to you today. Now it's time for movement, and we do these movements to get our blood circulating. All right, today's movement, we're going to do arm movement. Sit up straight, and what we're going to do is just stretch out that arm just like that. Stretch it out just like that. And we're going to do it for 5 times. Okay? You ready? Let's go. 1, 2, stretch it. 3, stretch it. 4, stretch it. 5. All right, now let's do the other side. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Stretch it. 4. Stretch it. And 5. All right. Now, how does that feel? I felt it in both arms. People, keep up with these little exercises. Just a little movement is so important to your body. Just do a little bit every day. Now let's dive into this message. Forgive your parents. I did pull a video. We have a letter. Let's watch the video. We're going to read the letter and talk about this issue. Okay, here we go.
I forgive my parents. I do. Will I forget? No. But it's like, it can't be all their fault, you know? I say that because trauma is passed down by parent by parent. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they simply act like that towards you and me because that's how their parents treated them. You know what I'm saying? It's not 100% their fault. So I see it from a different perspective, and I understand that, you know, we all mess up.
You want the blessings God has for you, you have to forgive your parents. I don't care what they did to you. This is coming from somebody who was molested by her father. And not only do I forgive him, I actually have empathy for him because I know he's just sick. He's not well. That doesn't excuse what he did, but I understand where it comes from. But don't get it twisted. Forgiveness doesn't automatically mean reconciliation. Some things you can't come back from. Some offenses, you can't just repair the relationship and be close again.
Before you kill your parents for not being an adequate parent to you, understand that it may be because your parents never had adequate examples modeled in front of them. They may not know how to be a loving, supporting, or nurturing mother or father because they never received that themselves. That's a very real possibility, and you have to accept that there's a good chance that there are things that they've been through that you're just unaware of. And those are the things that may be causing the distance, not just between you and them, but between them and everybody else as well. That doesn't excuse their treatment of you, but it's something to think about the next time they act in a way that doesn't meet your standards.
Okay, now let's read this letter. It's entitled Healing. She says, I grew up with an abusive, narcissistic mother who loved men and money. I also believe that my father is also a narcissist. I only met my father twice in my life. Once when I was 7 and another time when I was 18. I am 33 years old now. My mother hates my father and always tried to get me to hate him for as long as I can remember, which never worked. And that made her hate me even more, which amplified the abuse. When I was finally old enough to get to know my father, I didn't like him. He gave me the creeps. I didn't like his controlling, religious, and sexist, misogynist views on women. It was way too loud and forceful. It reminded me of my toxic mother and household. He doesn't believe that women should wear pants, fake hair, makeup, nail polish, or fake nails, which is fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But what I didn't like is him expecting me to abide by his rules. Yeah, because you're a grown woman now. You way past that. I didn't even know him. I thought it would fade out as I aged, but it didn't. And on top of that, he was never there for me when I needed him. My mother would constantly abuse me and kick me out for no reason. People who knew me were confused because I was a good kid. This resulted in me being homeless for a while. And when I reached out to him, thinking that he would be there for me, he told me that I needed to turn my life around to God. A lot of religious people do that. You see, when you need help, they got no help for you. They can't even help themselves, but they'll tell you that you need to go to somebody else for help. Okay? All right. I then came to the realization that I would only get his help if I followed his rules and way of thinking, which didn't feel right to me. Okay, let me stop here because you brought in religion, and religion is one of my favorite topics because I was raised in a religious home, and my family's religion is a generational thing from way back. So I came from a family with a lot of ministers in the family, a lot. And so, they had all of these rules and regulations of what you couldn't do. You can't do this, you can't do that. Everything was a sin. So I understand this. And if you didn't agree in my family, I didn't agree with it at all. So I was always the black sheep and on the outside rim. You see, as a matter of fact, one time my narcissistic father told me, do not share my ideas with anybody, meaning anybody in the church, because I disagreed with it. I totally disagreed with it from a very young age. I didn't agree with it. Okay, so let's get back to the letter. So I do understand when you are raised in these households, they expect you to follow this dogma, and that's what it is. It's the only religious dogma. Okay. I then came to the realization that I would only get his help if I followed his rules and his way of thinking, which didn't feel right to me. Over the past 10 years since I left home, I have been trying my best to heal and improve my life. I have put myself through college and building my career. I also constantly show up for myself by going to therapy and counseling. I understand that you have to let go of the past in order to move on, but sometimes there are triggers that bring me back to my childhood and what my family members has done to me and put me through. And I must say that I hate their guts. I understand this. It makes it even harder when you're on your spiritual journey, because as an adult and becoming more self-aware, I am starting to realize certain things and situations that they put me in that weren't right. And this makes me angry to know that the people who were supposed to be there for me weren't. Now I have to learn and unlearn things because of my past. I am confused to what healing or being a healed person is supposed to look and feel like. Please help me understand this, as I want to desperately become a better person and break this generational curse. I feel that having these negative feelings about my parents is protecting me from them by keeping my distance. But also, I don't want how I feel about my past to control my life in a negative way. All right. I can understand how you feel, because I was raised in a similar environment. My family did not try to understand me. My family rejected me. And I was abused a lot because I did not conform. I refused to conform. Now, people, this is what is important. If you want your life to be positive, abundant, and productive, then you have to heal from this negative, toxic energy that you are carrying because of the treatment that you endured with your parents. You still got that energy inside of you. That's why you feel funny and you don't know what healing is like. Let me explain to you what my healing process looked like. Once I started my spiritual awakening, I did a lot of meditation, a lot. And that is just quieting your mind for 15 to 30 minutes. During the early days, I was even doing it longer, for 30 to 60 minutes, because I was really injured from narcissistic abuse. And believe it or not, because of the abuse that I suffered growing up, I wasn't the greatest parent to my own kids. In the beginning, I was not healed from my own parents. I still had grudges from the way that I was raised. Heavy grudges. So it was difficult for me to be the best parent to my own children. You must heal from narcissistic abuse, number one. You must heal through spirituality, not religion, through spirituality, because narcissism is demonic. It's a demonic energy. The only way that you can be released from that negativity that is in you because of the abuse that you suffered is through spiritual awakening, spiritual healing. On my journey, when I started my spiritual awakening, I did a lot of meditation. A lot of it. I think I started off with 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And during this time of meditation, all of that anger and hatred that I had bottled up from what I had suffered with my parents, it came flooding out. I cried. I mean, the tears were just flowing. It just came out. See, this will only happen to you during your spiritual awakening, because what it does, it changes you from the inside. And all of the negativity that you are harboring from what you suffered with your parents, it will come out. Spiritual healing releases you from all that negativity and toxicity. It cleanses you. It detoxifies you. Spiritual healing. There's no way to get around it, people. You can't just say, well, with time I'm going to forget about it and let it go. No. It's sitting. What you have suffered, it's just sitting there. It's a wound. It's just sitting in your subconscious. And until you spiritually awake, spiritually heal, it can destroy your life. That wound can destroy you, because you're going to treat other people because you've been wounded. So you're going to treat them in a certain way. I remember even with my first set of kids, my first marriage, I had 3. And I wasn't the best because I still was angry with my parents. During that time, they were still living. So the triggers was going off every time I saw them. I wasn't healed. I didn't even know how to heal from it. I just did the best I could with my children. The things that my parents did to me, I didn't do to my children, but I wasn't able to give them, I believe, the attention, the caring, and the love that they needed growing up. Because I never got it growing up. You see, nobody ever hugged me and told me that they loved me and they cared for me and gave me support in the things that I wanted to do in life. I never got any of that growing up. You see, I was the black sheep and I was kind of on my own because I didn't conform to the religion. But I don't know if that made a difference or not, whether I conformed or not. You see, it just intensified the abuse because I would not. I couldn't see it at all. Not for my life. So when I had my children, I treated my children better than the way that I was treated growing up, but it wasn't the best because I wasn't healed. Now, by the time I had my second set, I'll say it wasn't a set, I just had one other son from another marriage. I was a better parent to him than I was to my first children. I was totally damaged when I had my first set. Totally damaged. I didn't really come into my spiritual awakening until my last son got grown, really. But I gave him more attention. He was the only one at that time. My first set of children were grown and gone. And so I tried to do better with him. But still, the real love, the real caring, I never got it. So until I started my spiritual awakening, that's the only time I felt that it was in me that I could give to someone else. That caring, that real loving kind of energy. You see, people, you can only give what you have inside. So if you don't have that loving energy, the true loving energy inside, you can't give it. My parents gave what they had. I understand that now. And I forgave them. You see, during that healing process, I got healed from it. I do not have any grudges or hatred or anything for the way that I grew up with my parents. I understand it now. I understand that my parents only gave what they had inside. Okay? Neither one of my parents talked a lot about when they were young and what happened to them when they were young or how they grew up or much. I know my father never did. My mother was an only child. So, you see, understand, people, that your parents can only give you what they have inside. And if they have not healed from whatever they suffered growing up, that's what it is. That's what it is. They may be able to change a few things and treat you better only if they recognize the ill in what they're doing. Only if they recognize it. If they don't recognize it and think that it's normal, then you're going to get the same treatment they got. You're going to get the same treatment they got when they were young. And if they were raised by a narcissist, that is a generational curse. The narcissist, many times, will groom somebody in the family to be the narcissist. To be the narcissist, just to carry it on in the family. Be careful of that. Be very careful. You see, forgiveness is so important for you. You're not forgiving for them. You're not forgiving because you feel like you need to go and tell them, I forgive you for the things that you did, and I understand. You don't have to do that. That's not necessary. You forgive them in your heart. Forgive them in your heart. Understand that they only gave you what they had. Whatever treatment that they suffered when they were growing up, they gave it to you. They didn't know any better. Or they didn't want to do any better. And if they were narcissistic, the demon is what was dealing with you. Understand that. Understand what it really is. If you want your life to be joyous, abundant, then you need to change yourself from the inside. You can't change your parents. You can't go back there and think that you can fix your parents. There's a show on that says, Fix My Life. The only way, people, that you can fix your life is by fixing yourself from the inside. You can't fix other people. Ain't no sense in sitting around talking about it. You cannot fix other people. They have to decide to fix themselves. All right? But for you, love yourself. Like my cap today. Love yourself. And get on your spiritual path. Your spiritual awakening. People, I want to explain this too. Because I think there's some confusion sometimes about spirituality and religion. Religion is different from spirituality. In religion, you have your dogma, the Bible. You have your church doctrines and all of that. In spirituality, you have a direct connection with the divine. No middleman. Your healing comes from the divine direct and changes you from inside. And you do this through your affirmations, because your affirmations change the way that you think, get you on positive thinking. Thinking positive all the time. And that takes practice, people. It takes practice to think positive all the time. Because when I started, you can pick out how you can be talking negative before even realizing it. It takes practice to be aware of what is coming out of your mouth. These affirmations help to change negative thinking, negative talking into positive. Now the meditations is your connection with the divine. Your connection. So you want to strengthen that. That's why you want to do a little bit every day. And it will slowly change you. And spirit will begin to guide you in the right direction toward healing. It's all energy, people, and it's all spiritual. So don't be confused with spirituality and religion. Religion is another thing. That's another thing. It has nothing to do with spirituality. Okay? I hope that you understand that. And I really hope that you understand how important it is to forgive your parents. You can't have a happy life if you don't. If you don't forgive your parents, you will always have that wound inside of you about your parents. Now, I talk about my father on the channel a lot because he was a narcissist, and I use him as an example to help others heal. But I forgave my father. I forgave my father before he passed away. I took care of my father in his last days in my home, and that's when I healed. I went into meditation, and all of that negative, hating energy flowed out of me. I mean, it flowed out of me. And this is what you want. Once it's gone, you feel free. You feel absolutely free. And believe me, your life will begin to change for the better. Mine did. All of a sudden, everything was brighter. Much brighter. People, I hope that you understand this message today. And I really hope that it helps someone to understand how important it is to forgive your parents. You have to if you want to be happy. Now, those of you who have questions that you would like for me to answer, here's the link. Send your questions to Miss Faye's World, YT@hotmail.com. That's Miss Faye's World, YT@hotmail.com. And try to keep your letters to one page. Just summarize your situation and ask the question. And if you prefer that I answer your question privately through the email, just put it at the very top of your letter and I will comply. I want to thank you so much for supporting this channel. And thank you for your comments. I read them. Just keep them coming. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your letters. And a special thank you for those that leave a donation. I really appreciate all of you. I wish you all the very best. And I hope to see you next time.